Good morning, everybody. Today we are discussing the planning. What is planning? Planning is the first function we know in the management, and planning is foremost important in any kind of business. Whenever we are going to college, we also do the plan. Whenever we are going to go for any kind of tour, we do the plan. Suppose you want to go to Tirupati in the month of December. If it is November and if are not at all planned, then your plan will be cancelled. You will be in a hectic situation. Why? Because at the time you might not get the ticket. So you have to think advance. You think beforehand. That is known as planning. Everybody in this world do plan for achieving their objective. So in case of planning, it decides beforehand what is to be done, how is to be done, when is to be done, and who is going to do. कौन करेगा, कैसे किया जाएगा, कब किया जाएगा, ये सबको क्या बोलेंगे? प्लानिंग बोलेंगे. Planning is the first function and foundation function of any kind of management. Without planning, there is no such management. So planning means thinking advance or recognizing the need for an action that you're going to follow to attain your objective is known as planning. तुम कुछ प्लान करते हो तो उसका मतलब क्या है? एट लास्ट अल्टीमेटली यू आर रीचिंग योर ऑब्जेक्टिव. फॉर रीचिंग योर ऑब्जेक्टिव देर आर सर्टेन कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन यू हैव टू फॉलो. कुछ कुछ चीज आपको फॉलो करना पड़ेगा ताकि वो आपको अपना ऑब्जेक्टिव मिल सके. सो it is an intellectual process. Planning is an intellectual process which lays down an organization objective and develops various course of action by which the organization can achieve those objectives. It chalks out exactly how to attain a specific goal. You know what to do, how to do, when to do, and who has to do a particular task, and how which are the course of action you need to follow to achieve your objective is known as planning. And planning is a mental process. Planning is decided with some intelligence. So it is an intelligent process or intellectual process for getting the objective to be fulfilled. So planning is most important in case of management, and it is the thinking of a particular course of action. And what are the course of action you have to follow? You have to chalk out exactly what you are going to do and what you are doing to achieve your specific objective. For that you have to plan for your organization. Then characteristics of planning. So these are the characteristics of planning. Under the characteristics of planning, there are managerial function. The first characteristics is managerial function. So characteristics or nature of planning, managerial function. Managerial function means who has to do this planning function? It is the manager. Manager has to do the planning only. Next one is goal oriented. Whenever a manager is doing any kind of planning, there is some objective is there, some goal is there, and to reach that goal the management has to do the planning. So it is goal oriented. Without goal there is no such planning. Then pervasive means what? The planning is applicable to every level of management, whether top level or middle level or bottom level. Top level management do the planning, like launching a new product. The middle level management also doing the planning. The middle level management will tell to the lower level management to produce certain quantity of output. That is known as what? Middle level management planning. And the lower level management has to see their contribution also. For that, what the strategy they have to make, that is also being done also. In case of this particular, lower level management also do the planning. Next one is continuous activity. This particular this particular uh, planning should be continuous basis. You have to do the particular uh, task of planning under continuous basis, not in a one time basis. You have to do for continuous basis only. Then it is an intellectual process. You have to decide it some your mind, some your thoughts, and it is the intelligent process. While doing the planning process, you have to use your intelligence. Next one is futuristic. why we are for what time period we are doing for the planning, and we are doing the planning no doubt today, but it is for the future period only we are doing the planning, so it is futuristic. Then decision making, what is the alternative you have to choose? There are number of alternatives to go to Tirupati, whether you have to go for flight or whether you have to go by bus, whether you have to go by train, but which mode you have to choose is important. So that's why you have to take decision, that is there are different alternatives are available, and choosing the best alternative among the different alternative available, that is known as decision making. So these are all characteristics of planning, that is managerial function, that is the manager has to do, and it is goal oriented. Planning is goal oriented. Without planning, without goal, there is no such planning. Then pervasive means it is applicable to all the level of management, upper level management, middle level management, and lower level management. They do the planning. Then continuously activity, planning has to be continuous. It is not a one time job. You have to do the planning continuously. You have to active in the planning. Then intellectual process, it is a mental process. You have to organize the thought while doing the planning. It is all about your intelligence. Then futuristic, the planning is made for the future only. Then decision making, you have to choose the best alternative. You have to select the best alternative among the alternative available. So that is the important decision you have to take. So these are the all characteristics of what? Planning. Then importance of planning, when you do the planning, what is the benefit you are getting? So it improves the future performance. So whenever you are doing the planning, you are in a greater position, your bargaining power becomes stronger. At that time you can improve your future performance. Your organized future performance is increasing because of the planning. Then whenever you are doing the planning, it minimizes risk and uncertainty. Whenever you are doing the plan, no doubt you are not in a position of hectic. You are not in a position of hectic, so the risk is being reduced, the uncertainty is reduced. As I told earlier, whenever you are, if today now is April month, if you are going for planning in the month of December, then if you plan today itself, then definitely you can reduce the risk today. You can book the ticket for the Tirupati, you can buy the ticket, you can plan accordingly which hotel you have to stay, and what are the mode to whom you have to carry, and which mode of traveling you have to choose. So that's why it can minimize your risk as well as uncertainty whenever somebody is going for planning. Then it facilitates the coordination of activity. Whenever someone is going for planning, they can coordinate with each other, they can coordinate with all the things together, so that there is a proper achievement of goal will be there. So it facilitates the coordination of activity. All the activity is properly coordinated whenever someone is going for planning. Suppose you are going to plan for a picnic also. If the picnic is about 10 days, after 10 days later or 10 days after, then if you do the planning in advance, then each and every activity of the picnic has to be coordinated perfectly so that the picnic will be successful. Then direction for action, the planning can give you the direction, in which direction you have to go, in what direction you have to move, and what are the course of action you need to take, that will helpful you. कौन सा एक्शन आपको लेना है, किस तरह से काम करना है, वो फायदा मिलेगा अगर तुम प्लानिंग करते हो. Then future opportunities and threat, when you do the planning, what are the opportunities? Opportunity means a good thing that will favors you, that is opportunities. Threat means the bad thing which unfavors your business, that is known as threats. Whenever you are doing the planning, you can get the advantage from the opportunities, and also whatever the upcoming threat means whatever the upcoming fear is there in the business or in the market, you can know it in advance, so that you can take certain precautions. Also you can use the opportunity, and also you can take certain precautions against the threat also. Then it sets out standard for controlling. अगर तुम प्लानिंग करोगे तो तुम्हारे हिसाब से काम होगा, और तमाम चीजों को आप क्या कर सकोगे, कंट्रोल कर सकोगे. अगर तुम प्लान नहीं किए तो कुछ भी कंट्रोल करना मुश्किल है. अगर एग्जाम है, आप अगर प्लान नहीं किए कौन सा सब्जेक्ट के लिए कितना स्ट्रेस देना है, अगर प्लान नहीं किए तो क्या होगा, you are not having proper control. You may fail in one subject, you may can get good marks in other subjects. So that's why you need to have a plan for better control also. So these are the importance of planning, that is it improves the your future performance, and it minimizes the risk and uncertainty, and it facilitates the coordination of activity. It gives the direction for any kind of action. Then future opportunities and threat, you can able to guess what of the opportunities are coming, and you can use that opportunity and you can get the advantage. And what are the threats, what are the fearness is there in the upcoming market, you can take precautions also, that it sets out standard for controlling. You can control the things whenever you are going for planning. So these are the importance of what planning. This is the planning process. In the examination, what is planning and what is the planning process, it is always coming in the exam. So the first step, this is step by step. You can't try setting the objective first then follow up action, it can't be. So it is a process. One has to follow step by step process of this planning. So first page or first step is setting the objective. So whenever somebody is going for any kind of planning, he has to set objective, he has to set a goal. Suppose your current year your sale of the mobile phone is 1 lakh units. In the next coming year your objective is to sell 2 lakh units of mobile. So your objective is to what, to sell 2 lakh units of mobile phone. That is known as setting the objective. Next one is developing planning premises. Developing planning premises means what, you have to develop what are the upcoming future scenario. You have to see that whether government is supporting the digital transaction or not. If digital transaction government will support, definitely that will helpful for your business or mobile company. So you have to develop what could be the future scenario of that particular business. Standing in the present, you have to think what could be the future scenario is known as developing planning scenario. Suppose you are a mobile, you want to sell 2 lakh quantity of mobile in the upcoming year. At that time you have to see that how much digitalization will help you for your transaction, how much government making digitalization will help you for your transaction. That is known as what, developing planning premises. Next, identifying alternative course of action. Your objective is to sell 2 lakh units of mobile phone. Then you have to identify alternative course of action. For selling 2 lakh units of mobile phone, it is not a kind of easy job. For that you need to reduce the price, you may reduce the price, or you can increase your advertisement, you can increase the sales promotion. In that way you can achieve the objective of selling 2 lakh units of mobile phone. So you have to identify what are the alternative course of action are there. Next one is evaluating alternative course of action. Evaluating alternative course of action means what, whether a particular alternative will be suitable, which alternative will be suitable. For mobile phone, whether advertisement is necessary or rigorous advertisement is necessary or sales promotion is necessary or reducing the price is necessary, what is exactly necessary for your business, you have to evaluate on the alternatives. There are many alternatives are available to your business. You can't choose all the alternative. A B C D alternatives are available to your business. You can't choose all the A B C D E. You have to choose only one alternative. So evaluating alternative, and you have to select the best alternative. Out of the alternative, which could be the best alternative for your business, you have to choose that particular alternative. And after that you have to implement the plan. Suppose at last you found that which could be the best alternative is that if you go for online marketing of your product, that could be the best. Or if you can appoint a large scale of salesperson for selling your mobile phone, that could be the best. If you're selecting that is a best alternative, then implement that plan also. Last one is what, follow up action. You have to follow up the action. Follow up means what, you have to have a constant look what is the feedback given by the employees, what is the feedback given by the customer. You continuously look over that particular thing, and you have to collect the feedback from the customer as well as employees. So this is the planning process. Process start from the setting of the objective. You have to set a goal which should be your objective. Suppose my objective is to sell 2 lakh units of mobile, I have to select that is the objective. Then developing planning premises. Developing planning premises means what? You have to develop what could be the future scenario, because you are setting the goal for the future and you are at present today, and you have to develop what could be the future scenario if things will change, if government will give lot of benefits towards the online transaction, then or digitalization. At that time you have to think about your business on that basis also. Then identifying alternative course of action. To sell 2 lakh unit of mobile phone, you have to have different kind of alternatives, such as sales promotion, such as advertisement, such as reduction of the price. Lot of alternatives are available. Evaluating alternative course of action. All alternative could not be the best, and you have to evaluate which cost is more, whose cost is less, which alternative cost is less, and which benefit is more. Under the criteria of cost benefit analysis, you have to see which is the best alternative for your business. You have to evaluate those alternatives, then select the best alternative. You have to select the best. You have to reject few alternative and you have to select the best alternative. As I told earlier, selling the 2 lakh units of mobile phone, if you are hiring a large scale of sales persons, or choosing the medium of online marketing, then that is the best criteria of your best alternative for your planning, and you can select that best plan. Then implementing those plan, you have to implement, you have to make the practice of that plan to be there. That course of action has to be followed. वो प्लान को तुम्हें क्या करना है, फॉलो करना है. दैट कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन को आपको फॉलो करना है, implement करना है. उसके बाद follow up action. Follow up action means what? You have to collect the feedback, whether the things are going as per the plan or not. What is the response from the employees? What is the response from the customer? Day to day or continuously, you have to search that one, and you have to collect those information also. So this is the most important thing about the planning process. This is all about today's about the planning, where we discussed about what is planning, the characteristic features of planning, as well as importance of planning, and what is the planning process. Thank you. Good afternoon, friend. Today we are discussing one of the important aspect, that is role of manager. So manager is the person who can see the day-to-day activity life of an organization. ये manager जो है, जो organization को day-to-day work वो देखता है, वो manager है. So what is his role is actual. So there are three important role of manager. We can say interpersonal role, informational role, and decision role. Interpersonal role. What do you understand by interpersonal role? The manager has to build certain relationship with the workers or other stakeholder. He has to build the certain network with the other. That is known as interpersonal roles. Next one is information role. The manager has to communicate with the workers. He has to pass the information to the workers. He has to pass the feedback to the higher authority. That is known as information role. Then decision role. There are number of decision that manager has to take in his day-to-day work of life. That is coming under the decision role. So we can see lucidly what are the different type of interpersonal roles and information roles and decision roles. Interpersonal means you have to have different kind of communication with other people or workers or higher authority or the outsider. You have to make the network. Information role means you have to pass the information what is there in the organization, what you can expect from your workers, and you have to pass the information to the boss, to other stakeholders also, and you have to take the different decision day-to-day life. So that's why that is coming also under the head of decision role. These are the three important role of manager. We have to discuss each and everything lucidly. Under the first interpersonal role, the first one is figurehead. Figurehead means it has to represent your organization. Being a manager, you have to represent yourself as a head. As a head, you have to represent to the organization. You are in the charge of this particular aspect. You are as a head, and every worker is liable to you. That is, he is representing as a figurehead, and that is coming under the interpersonal role. The leader, as a leader, the manager has to give motivation. He has to stimulate worker. He has to encourage the employees or worker. Here, that is also coming under the head of interpersonal role, that is leader. Then next one is liaison. Liaison means what? Connecting outside world, develop external link. It is the manager who has to develop different kind of networks to the outside also, because manager has to be have a complete sense what is going around in and around of his world. He has to see which kind of market trend is prevailing, which type of trend is prevailing in the economy, what is the attitude of the people outside, what is the government role, what is the supplier, who are the stakeholder, who are the banker, the exchange rate, interest rate. This all aspect has to be studied, and he has to build a strong network, develop a strong link externally. That is coming under the head of LIASO and liaison role. So under interpersonal role, that is as a figurehead, he has to act as a head, as a superior. Then he has to act as a leader by encouraging the workers or encouraging or stimulating the employees. Okay, whenever he require to stimulate to the employee, to motivate the worker, he should not hesitate himself. He has to act as a leader. Then liaison, under the liaison, he has to build or he has to develop, the manager has to develop a strong communication with the outside, and he has to build a strong network by keeping relationship with the outsider, other company, other competitors or other market. What is the things are prevailing in the market, he has to have a thorough knowledge on that. So that is known as liaison role. So under interpersonal role, that is figurehead came, then leadership came, and liaison came. That is the first role, that is interpersonal role. Next is informational role. Information role means he has to pass the information. If, because nowadays the information is knowledge, nowadays information is the power, knowledge is the power. So that message has to be transferred, whatever the message, whatever the concern about the particular manager, the idea of the manager has to be communicated, the information from the manager has to be communicated the worker as well as superior. So under the informational role, the first one is coming as monitor. Monitor means he received the information from various sources on matter concerning organization. He has to act as a receiver of different kind of information. He act as a receiver of the receiver of the message or information. Oh, so he act as a, the manager act as a monitor. Then disseminator. Disseminator means transfer the information. He has to pass the information within the organization. So he acts as a disseminator. Then spokesperson, transmitting information outside the organization. Whenever any kind of things has to be spoken, it is the manager who acts as a spokesman and speaks. So he has to communicate with the outside of the organization by acting as a role of spokesman. So these are the three things, that is monitor, disseminator, and spokesman is coming under the head of informational role. Information role means he has to pass the message, pass the information. He has to collect the information and also pass the information not only inside the organization but also outside the organization. So the first role is interpersonal role, and the second role is information role. Under information role, monitor, disseminator, and spokesman came. Next and the last role is decision role. Under decision role, he acts as a entrepreneur. As entrepreneur are having or coming with latest idea, latest innovations. Similarly, he acts as an entrepreneur who is coming with the ideas. So here the a manager is acting like an entrepreneur. Next one is disturbance handler or conflict handler. There are many problem arises in between the workers and in between the employer and worker. For solving those problems, solving those matters, solving those conflicts or problem in between the workers or in between the employer or employee, the manager has to act as a disturbance handler. He has to the things make the things to be run in a smoother manner by asking both the workers. If there is a conflict in between the worker, he has to ask to stop the conflict and handle the conflict. He is the person, so he is a disturbance handler also. And he is the resource allocator. Resource allocator means whatever the resource means man, material, machine, money, whatever the resources required, he has to gather, he has to accumulate, he has to procure, he has to see that there is a proper allocation of raw material, labor, capital inside the organization. And workers require whatever the things, the manager has to get it. That is known as resource allocator, whether that is plant, machine, equipment, different kind of thing. Then negotiator. Manager has to negotiate in important matters concerning the organization. Whenever any kind of negotiation is required, he acts as a negotiator. Whenever any kind of compromise is required, he acts as a negotiator by solving different kind of problem which arises in the organization. So that is coming under as a negotiator. On the decision role, we have discussed that entrepreneur, he acts as a entrepreneur. Then he act as a handler of what, whatever the disturbance arises inside the organization. And the next one is resource allocator. He has to act as a resource allocator, means he has to see whatever the resources, whether main resources, material resources, machine resources, equipment, all the things has to be allocated perfectly. And he has to act as a negotiator by solving the different conflict, by solving the different problem between the employer and employee and between the employees. So this is all about the role of management. Under the role of management, we discuss about the interpersonal role, then informational role, and last one is decision role. So role of the manager is not a kind of easier job. His role is quite crucial. Under the interpersonal role, we discuss figurehead, leader, liaison. Under the information role, we discuss monitor, disseminator, and spokesperson. Under the decision role, we discuss entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. This is all about the role of manager. Thank you.